G'day. What am I gonna do? I guess I'll just get torrent and such. Maybe not the round table home yet. What was I gonna talk about today? Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring, I guess. Since we're starting Elden Ring, I think it's a good time to talk about the different games and why I think Dark Souls 1 is really good and Dark Souls 3 sucks. And this game's okay. I also think I wasn't gonna do a video yet, and then I was like, oh, you know, it's probably better to just get used to making videos that suck rather than not making good videos, since I never get around to making anything with effort that's prepared. So I was gonna write a script, but then I thought if I decided to do that, I would just put off starting and put off writing it and then not have done anything. But that's okay, we'll go off the dome and see what happens. So with this I'm gonna use the S-Stock until I get to Leonia, I think. And then I might use a scythe just for fun. I wanna normally when I play Elden Ring, I just kind of clear everything in each area because I feel like there's not a huge incentive to go and do every single thing. And then if you get too far ahead, there's not really any point going back and doing stuff you've missed because you don't really get any runes from it. So it's like, oh, might as well do it while it's challenging, I guess. So there's at least that aspect of it. First thing that's strictly worse, there's a cap to how fast you can skip text. For some reason, you can only do like one every half second. Okay, no. This, I'll get the map piece, I'll get everything in the ruins, and then I'll go talk to little Rani. Compared to Dark Souls 1 where you can just, every time you skip the text. I don't know why they would make it limited. Oh, it's so that you don't accidentally skip anything, but I think there's probably way more people trying to skip the text that already know it than there are people accidentally skipping the text, and I forgot what kind of spell that was. He's dead. I think the start of this game doesn't really make sense. I'm not doing the tutorial area though, which changes things a bit, but I don't think there's really any level design to the tutorial area. Thinking about it, there's just a bunch of caves with guys, and then there's a bit with a bridge above you and you go under it and there's an archer in it and there's like tall grass, and then I think you fight I want to fight the knight until I've cleared everything else if I can help it. And then you fight the boss, which is a guy with a greatsword. What do I want to say? There's so many different ways to go. I was gonna say firstly, can I backstep? Swing. I think the Dark Souls definitely has easier enemies at the start. Like the two-handed greatsword dude's actually probably a lot harder than the Asylum Demon. Because he has more combo attacks. I think Asylum Demon's whole moveset is one hit swings, and then there's like a 2-swing combo maybe. But they're all really telegraphed. So like you can get a swing in before noticing that the next attack is... I probably shouldn't try and parry you silly things. um, you can react to the next attack before mashing too much if you're paying attention, so it's not too bad. This game, it's kind of, you kind of have to learn the movesets of enemies before you can really fight them properly, unless you just go up to enemies and like mash on them like this. But if I want to, whoops, I thought I had the shield out. Which is how most people end up playing, I think, but it's more interesting if it's more interactive, which is why I like Dark Souls, because there's more interaction in the combat with enemies compared to like Skyrim or other RPGs. There's more of a like, you gotta pay attention to what the enemy's doing at that time and such. It's not just mash. Ooh, so many tangents, which is why I prefer to use smaller weapons than... Did I go down here? Yeah, actually can't remember. Oh no, I did. I think I did do this. Because I remember... Yeah. Okay, Rani. I prefer using smaller weapons to get lighter hits in and be more optimal. Like, oh, I can dodge this. I can't sneak a hit in here, but then I dodge the next hit, and then I can do one hit. And then, oh, I can do a charged hit here, or I can do 2 hits, or whatever, depending on how you're trying to fight that particular enemy. Obeisance. So I'm going to use the S stock. So I can upgrade it if I get some smithing stones. Where shall I go first? Maybe I'll just do the mines first. Do I have... I need the crafting kit to do that. Okay, I'm not going to do that first. I'm going to do the other little cave first. Let's sell this. So I can buy this. Leveling up stats at the start doesn't actually seem to feel like the offensive stats, so it probably... You get way more damage out of the upgrades, from what I've felt anyway, than you do from stats, unless you're doing it in int. Pardon me. So I just allow myself to make a few more mistakes early, get my vigor and endurance to 20, I think. No, I don't want to go this way. I want to do this one first. We'll do this, then this, then this. I think. Because I want to get some mushrooms to be able to create some... What are they called? Fire pots. To fight the clay guys with. Oh, I guess I have magic, but we'll do this anyway. I barely talked about the level design. In Dark Souls 1, it has the thing I like about this game, I guess. Well, it has a thing that's actually not really done as well in this game, which is like being able to do varying builds and go different places to do different things. But the difference in that game is that you can't just run through everything, and there's kind of a reason to go to each place. Even though New Londo Ruins and the Catacombs are pretty difficult early on, there's still reasons to go there. Like New Londo, you can get a green Titanite shard, and without needing Master Key, I think. Yeah, because the Master Key takes you to the Valley of Drakes. You can get a green Titanite shard, and you can get a Firekeeper soul, and you can get the parrying dagger's not great. You could possibly get the thingy ghost blade dagger or whatever it is, but I think those are the main reasons to go there. wonder if the heavy attack makes him stagger. Doesn't look like it. Charge semi probably will. Yeah, let's see if we can get into it. Did his fastest attack, which is fine. Oh, I think. And then catacombs, you have access to the guy. I'll get some mushrooms from freaking what's his name as well. The demi-human guy, Bok. You get the scythe is in the catacombs. There are some other good weapons. Rite of Kindling is like kind of good to get early, I guess, if you're going to use it. It's probably better to get it earlier than later. Well, actually, I don't know. There's only a few areas where you'd want to use it. I kind of wish the reward was a bit better. And you can access the... What else is in the catacombs? The Lucerne, which is a cool halberd. Oh yeah, and you have access to the graveyard right at the start, which is kind of like... There are a few areas that are like... Okay, so in Elden Ring, when you want items or stuff, you just can run straight there, because everything is so open. You can just... run past everything and run straight to the things, unless they're in Legacy Dungeons, but there aren't too many things that are in Legacy Dungeons. Whereas, so that running past everything to get stuff is kind of in Dark Souls 1, but it's right at the start. It's just the graveyard right next to Firelink, where you can get the winged spear, the Zweihander or whatever. Some soul pickups, a wooden shield, which by the way, it's got like 60% magic and lightning resist, which is like more than any, like, it's a small shield. That's more than any medium shield in this game has, having 60 in both of those. The shields are pretty weak at blocking, so you've only got 30, 37, 18 against lightning for this shield. Elementals are really strong, like hard to block. I need to get my strength to 14 for the scythe as well, so I guess I can do that. I'm already out of smoldering butterflies. I didn't pick up too many. I hope this does decent damage. Bing. Yeah, it does. One shots him. Nice. What the range is like on this. Decent. There's this guy. You can run to Valley of Drakes with the Master Key, which gives you the Astora Straight Sword, which is a Faith Sword. Or you can get like the... It's not the Dragon Crest Shield, is it? It's a different Crest Shield. You can get some soul pickups. You can get the Grass Crest Shield if you go to Thingy through that, and you can also run all the way through Blight Town into the swamp area to get some Green Titanite there as well, and more soul pickups. So it's like early on you have a decent array of weapons that you can get. Like you have the starting class weapons, like longswords and stuff. And then there's also a few other weapons that you can get reasonably quickly, like the stuff in the graveyard. You have an ultra great sword and a spear. And oh, there's a mace, there's the Morning Star, there's also a talisman there. Blighttown gives you a catalyst. Ooh. But it's probably the least enjoyable part of a playthrough is like, oh, I want to use this thing, and then maybe you have to run all the way to the swamp for that playthrough. I don't know why I tried to roll through that. I know that's not a wall. It's like, oh, I've got to run all the way to the swamp to get whatever it is I'm trying to get. That sucks. But that's like a lot of the early build kind of related stuff in this game. It's a lot of just running through open areas because you can just get a lot of stuff pretty easily, but not armor sets. There are a lot of armor sets around really early in Dark Souls 1, I noticed when I was playing recently. But there's also still good reasons to go to the Legacy dungeons. Like, you can get good stuff early, but then you should go to Undead Parish and, like, you get the Divine... There's no embers in this game. You can just upgrade fully as long as you have the materials, which I think is a mistake. Because it kind of disincentivizes doing certain things. Like... Divine Butterfly is worth fighting because you can get the... Is it Divine? No, it's Moonlight Butterfly. I'm getting ahead of myself because it drops the Divine Ember, which allows you to upgrade weapons to have faith scaling, and then they will kill skeletons. They won't reform if you kill them with a weapon that has that holy effect on it. Which then... It's like, oh, you can go kill this thing early if you want, and then you can... That makes the catacombs a bit easier. If you wanted to set your character up to go to the catacombs, you can do the Moonlight Butterfly first. Oh, there's a spear there too, the Partisan, is it? Darkroot Garden. I don't have any mana. I have to fight this guy legit. I'm gonna get away because this... Oh, he's doing the combo. I thought he was doing a big schlam. Ugh. How is he not staggered? Can you stop? Ugh. Oh, I'm so glad that I don't know why this is taking so many hits. Am I getting hit by this? Yes. I wonder if this grenade will kill him. Center of mass? Nope. Oh. Okay. We did it. Oh, I had another heal. I thought I was out. Do I have enough to fully upgrade my S stock? I can't remember. Yes, I do. That's pretty good. We'll level up. I think the Undead Berg is a really good intro. It's got you run into the boss, which you can kill early before you get a weapon to get a special weapon, but it's not a really super great reward. But you're not expected to fight it, like it tells you to run away when you first fight it. Then you get your weapon, you kill the archer. Then you go up the stairs and get hit by the boulder, which is pretty unfair. It's not, like, it's not really telegraphed that that's going to happen, but I think it's good because it's kind of a big theme of the gameplay is to be patient and take things very cautiously, which is reflected in the design there. It's like, oh, be careful, be ready to dodge stuff or whatever. Like, it gives you a bit of time. You can hear it. If you were like focused, I think you could probably dodge it, but you're probably going to get hit for free. And that's the point. It's supposed to, you've got to stay on your toes. Most other stuff is pretty telegraphed in the game. There are a few other unfair things, but it's mostly about fairness. I think the stamina system reflects this well in that if you come in swinging, so to speak, too hard, you'll why did I freaking unbind my fire? Oh, I don't have any, so I can't put it back. You can quickly run out of stamina and is there another one? Yeah. And like taking a lot of damage. You can only swing like 2 or 3 times at the start before you run out of stamina, depending on your weapon and class and whatnot. Which means you've got to be very careful about when you attack and allowing yourself to defend. And the first few fights are fairly tame. It teaches you how to parry. Well, it tells you how, and then it I wonder if I can kill these. Will these die in one hit? No. I think it has so much range. But as you can see, like, I can just freaking throw my attacks out with impunity, which we'll get to soon. But you have to be very careful in Dark Souls. The enemies are a lot easier, but you're a lot weaker as well. Stuff has a lot more recovery on both your end and the enemy's end, so if you do a bad attack, you'll probably take damage. Healing takes longer as well, so you have to be much more careful about when you do that. And you can't move while doing it. If you do anything too rashly, you can get punished pretty hard for it. It's not like these imps are particularly enjoyable to fight, so I might as well use my magic when I can. This character's not going to be very magic focused, but I think I'll use magic for a few of the tougher enemies. Or not tougher, but like more annoying enemies. Like the flying ones. There's a good spell that deals with them. Or like if there's big groups, I can just use the arc spell. What was I saying? It's talking about stamina and being patient. In this game, you can get like 12 swings in a row before you run out of stamina. Rolling is a lot faster. In Dark Souls 1, there's 3 roll speeds. Well, technically 4, because you get access to a better light roll with a ring. But there's the light roll, the medium roll, and then, which is a bit slower, it has a bit more recovery. And then a heavy roll, well, fat rolling as people call it. I'm playing light roll in this game. Light and medium roll have the same frames in this. Ow, I stuffed it up. Yeah, if you sprint, you can get behind him and then he'll whiff. You can wail on him for free. Uh-oh. Nice. Instead of having to roll. Stuff like that I like being able to, if you know the moveset, punish them in more specific ways you can parry it, but it's a really hard parry because it's hard to predict when the swing will come and you can't reactively parry. Which I think is better actually. They changed it in Dark Souls 3. I don't know about 2, I haven't played it. What will I do next? I could do... I'll grab this, and then I'll do this thing, I think. Where? I don't actually remember where it is. It's down here somewhere. Parry has a bit more... It doesn't happen the instant... You can't parry stuff the instant you press the button. There's a little bit of a delay before the parry is actually active. So... You can't use it... There's times when you can roll an attack, but you can't parry it, because as soon as you roll, you're invincible, but as soon as you parry, there's a little delay before the parry can actually parry things. So you have to know a bit more precisely what is coming. You can't just flinch, react to an attack, and then parry it. Which I think is good. It's like higher reward, you get more... Higher risk, higher reward. You get rewarded for knowing the enemy's attacks. And you can parry a lot of bosses, which I like about this game. You can't really parry any except Gwyn, I think, in Dark Souls 1. Which is probably like a metaphorical thing. I think the stamina and the world... Having the stamina the way it works in Dark Souls 1 being really punishing and so important. You really have to manage it a lot compared to this. It regens a lot slower as well, so stamina regen stuff is a lot better. You don't need it anywhere near as much in this game. You can parry this guy too. The punch is what I should have been parrying. So that I just tried to do a Dark Souls 1 parry, like, oh, he's gonna swing, time to parry. You're gonna try and grab me? No. Oh, bit of a lag there. See, he has a grab that is a stab. He stabs you with the sword, but it's a grab. I think that's really... it's not very well telegraphed. There's a few things, or a lot of things, in this game that are like, you can't know that it's gonna happen until it's happened. Like, you have kind of... If you're playing properly, you should probably just walk up to every enemy and block until they until they seem to have exhausted all of their moveset. I might put magic on this just to see if it makes the damage better. Because it might for these early enemies. I found a spinning stone, so I can upgrade this to plus my staff to +1. Oh yeah, I was talking about that before, affinities and upgrades being balanced better, but we'll keep talking about stamina briefly. Oh, the dodges, yeah. Because they made, okay, yeah, you would block everything. This is why I should have a script, because well, the videos are bloody talking about rambling, which is what I'm doing, going all over the place. The took a long time to jump. You do like crit damage if you hit his head, and you can actually get him to, like, if you hit his head right there, you can get him to stagger again. It can be better than going for the crit if you can hit the head, because then he gets up and then he's invincible until he's like fully standing up. So it's like, maybe it's not worth going for the riposte, depending on your weapon. I don't think the air stock has a crit bonus compared to like a normal rapier. Cool, I killed 3 of them. This ash, what is it? Is it like Shield Bash or something? Or Storm Assault? It's not Storm Assault, there's no way that'd be all the way down here. Stamp Sweep, that's what it is. I don't use the not keen ones, I can't remember what the strength thing is called. Heavy. Fight this guy for no reason. Hey. I tried to do the roll. Okay, yeah, the buffering's not ever been good either. The buffer window's way too big. Frickin'... What am I saying? It feels like they lost why... Over the years, they've lost why the stamina and the world was built with, like, ambushes, so to speak. Like, if you a lot of Dark Souls 1 is designed so if you apply things cautiously and play slowly and bait enemies out, you'll be able to clear the areas reasonably well. But if you just run in, then you can end up in really dangerous situations. But it's not like the tombs in this game where you have to it forces you into walking through some kind of hallway where you can't see left, right, or above you, and you have to walk in, walk out to bait if there's an imp there. Like 6 times a dungeon. It feels... where do you buy the lantern? Is it this guy? No, it's all the way down in Southern Peninsula. I'll rest the bonfire, get my health back. It feels less fair in this game. And they've made the enemies harder, but to compensate, like they've all got way more strings. Like I was saying, you have to block a lot more because it's not clear when an enemy's string is ended completely. Because they might just suddenly start, they might just look like they're done and then suddenly instantly swing again and punish you for trying to punish them. It's like, well, you should have known that it wasn't the end. But this game's so big and there's so many enemies, are you expected to do that for every enemy? So then, because of that, that's a big reason why a lot of people just end up running in and comboing enemies. How do you see me here? Because if they can't interact back, then you don't have to interact with any of that nonsense. You can just... Bro, this is silly. You can parry these guys. Oh, nice. Did we aggro the other one? Doesn't look like it. Because the enemies are hard, it makes this game pretty replayable. Because it's like you can always learn more about the way the enemies fight and how to abuse them, but it's really rough at the start. Feels like you really have to do a really slow playthrough. Yeah, they make you way more buff to be able to fight the enemies in these movesets, which ends up... Like, this guy will backdash a lot after you hit him, because you can interrupt a lot of his attacks. My other one didn't hit this guy. And if you're ready for the backdash, you can run in and hit him again and kind of combo him like that. I didn't kill him one hit. Oh! Tailoring tools. And so it feels like the game would just be better if they want all these mechanics, if there was no stamina at all, really. Like Sekiro, that's the path it went. Oh, and having weapons have like long recovery times, and you have to commit to when you attack in Dark Souls 1, and that's a big important thing as well. It's like once you press the button, it's probably gonna, like, you only want to press the button unless you're absolutely sure, and it's almost like the buffer system in that game is like punishing you as well for mashing. If you mash too much, you'll end up swinging too many times or rolling too many times, and then you might get punished for it. You have to be very deliberate. But that stuff's all carried over into this game, and I don't think it really makes sense in terms of is this really going on for almost 40 minutes? Goodness. Let's go back to Bach. It doesn't really make sense because of, like, it's not... Those aspects aren't properly being reflected. Like, they're there, they were there for the reason before, but that doesn't seem to be why they're there now. They're just there because... Pardon me. That's how it's always been, and you can tell by the way they're designed, in my opinion. Okay. Talked about the level design. I talked about rolling. Oh yeah, and since Dark Souls 1 is so much more quote-unquote legacy dungeons, you can't run through it as well. It kind of gives you more of an... It's like if you want the Divine Ember, you kind of can run through the whole of Darkroot Garden, but it's a kind of small area. It's like, oh, you might as well just play through it properly, I think. And it's can like clear everything out and get the soul pickups and the poise ring or whatever. There's not really any reason to kill some bosses in this game. Like, you don't have to... There's not really any reason to kill Renala unless you are doing Rani's questline, I guess? Questline stuff, or you want to respec. So most players probably don't want to respec, like, they know what they're doing. Ow, I don't know why I tried to do that. Where am I gonna go? I should get the map pieces. There's this grace over here. There's so many more graces, and the fact that you can't teleport makes you a lot more committed to an area as well in Dark Souls 1, which is... Let me grab this thing! I hate Torrent's movement, because you can't 180, like, he has to turn around. If you try to do less than 180, you don't turn on the spot, he kind of wheels around, which can stuff up platforming. Anyway. It sucks, and I'm whinging. Friggin... being stuck in an area means that you're more likely to try and slowly progress through it and stuff. And the bonfire thing, like the design of the bonfires being like, oh, you've got to... You have a limited amount of heals per bonfire, like between bonfires, and if you go back and heal yourself, because you don't want to lose your souls, you respawn all the enemies. So it's like, you have to make a decision, like, am I going to risk going further forward without knowing what's happening? Like, lots of people have talked about this. Or am I going to like go back and try and do the area a bit better so I have more Estus for what's to come, or something like that. I need to remember to clear this spot before I get the map piece. I might die here. There's like 4 barbarian guys and they're kind of hard. For me. because they've got so many moves. They're only in this early part of the game. It's like, and they're not in any areas that matter. Like you can just run past all of them, I think. Ugh. I can parry that. Let's shoulder barge into here. Hey, hey. The horse ones are especially tough. Multiple enemies in this game don't attack you unless they're like a certain kind of enemy, where they're like programmed to be really aggressive. See, like this wolf is just watching me fight this guy. It's like they wanted to have heaps of areas where you can fight a bunch of enemies at the same time, which is not super like design wise congruent with the mechanics. Like you can only lock onto one enemy, and the game doesn't necessarily do lock on very well in this game. It's kind of like you can't block. You block in the direction you're moving in if you're not locking onto something, so it makes... Wow. Oh, there's no... I thought there was full gore. No, there is! The lightning plant is here. I didn't realize that. That's cool. Oops. Okay, Oh, I keep forgetting what I'm talking about. There's no... Yeah, the game is built more around one-on-one combat, juggling one-on-one fights and stuff. But there's lots of group enemies in this game. Like there's just a group of guys. Since there's no level design out here, it's just an open area. The fights have to be a bit more engaging by having different groups of enemies in different positions. Since you have a horse, you can just run past everything. I don't remember if I said this before, but the rolling, they made medium roll as fast as fast roll because then they would have to balance everything around being medium rollable, but I guess they didn't want to compromise having as many combos and stuff that they have. Just an aside, I think having a shield and blocking is probably, like, I think having more defensive options is more enjoyable for me at least. Like, oh, I can block this and then I can guard count. I think that's a good addition, by the way. Like, oh, I know this is the last hit on the string, so I'm gonna block it and guard counter it to do a lot of poise damage or whatever. Because that still has stamina management as well. I think it's a good addition. There's... Why is this guy awake? Am I gonna die? No. Okay, for some reason he's not attacking me. Oh, I forgot. I need to get the physic. Guard counters are good. Blocking good. Before I was talking about that. Oh, defensive options. Yeah. Like, if your only option is to just learn to roll in different angles and different timings, I don't know, it's like a bit less interesting than, oh, I can block that, guard counter that, I can parry that hit, like, block, roll, parry, or like block and then hit. Like, blocking might give you a better punish, because it might have less recovery than roll, depending on what you're blocking. Some things, if you're not in the right position and they do like a weird move that you can't dodge in that position, it's like, oh, I still have an option at least to reduce the damage. I think having defensive options is good, rewarding players for knowing how to fight certain things. Makes it more interesting for me at least. I don't have light roll. I lied before when I said that. Oh, I didn't get the... Oh, I didn't get the... Let me go to the Erd tree here. Talk to the guy, get the thing, get the thing, get this. Pardon me, I have way more time in Elden Ring now though. I've got nearly 500 hours compared to like, what, 250, 300? Pardon me, across like original Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls Remastered, and then Dark Souls Remastered on my Switch. Oh yeah, I like spears as well because you can attack while blocking. That's nice. I don't like weapons clashing off walls. Even in Dark Souls 1, I think having to balancing weapons around the environment, there being some situations where the weapon can't be used is kind of silly, because I feel like that's too much of a consideration to be able to design well. Like, do you be like, oh, we've specifically put this enemy in this spot, so then players that have huge weapons suffer? Does that mean huge weapons are supposed to be strictly better in some, like, just like if you were in an open area, are they supposed to be the best weapons? Because it doesn't seem to be that way. They should just be, it should be, they're about the same, it's just you have more damage instead of safety and like as in slow, more punishing whiffs and that kind of thing. More dangerous whiffs, but you do more damage. Safer attacks, less damage, but it's like, oh, they do even more damage, but they also bounce off walls. Nah, cringe. I don't think these cookbooks are worth buying. I want to keep a small shield because I like being able to parry. I'm using the S stock. One day I'll have a character. I'll do a pyromancer LARP character, and I'll use the hand axe. Pyromancy in Dark Souls 1 is cool because it gives you another thing to spend your runes on. Since you can buy, it's a lot easier to buy upgrade materials in Dark Souls compared to this, where it's a lot easier to find them. So if you can easily find enough stuff to upgrade like 2 things probably. It's probably enough smithing stone 8s. There's a lot of somber smithing stones around, so if you were using those you'd be cheering. I want the golden seed. But like if you're doing like if you're trying to not level up, like if you're doing a rune level 1 playthrough or something, then like runes are almost useless. Because like you'll have way more runes. You only really need to be careful on how you spend runes at the start of this game. After that you'll end up with way more runes than stuff to buy. I can't believe you didn't die then. Okay, I'm doing less damage with this magic thing, even though these are guys in armor. I do like the addition of jumping. I wish it was like being able to jump over some attacks is cool as well. Like sweeps in Sekiro, but it feels a little slow, and like you can't jump grabs. Grabs can still hit you out of the air, which is sucky. Ow, thought I died. I got scared. Boom. Oh, we dropped the pumpkin helm on the first try. Should I put it on? Yeah, we'll put it on. We'll be silly. Thankfully, I can just... This is gonna kill these guys in one hit. Yes. I can just magic these guys. This area is kind of annoying. Rats being one of the most annoying. They were so much less painful in Dark Souls 1. They're mega painful in this game. And there's just dudes throwing stuff at you from up here. frick, Dark Souls 1's so good. I'm just thinking about every situation. Like, this is just another, oh, freaking, there's a bunch of enemies in a room hiding behind corners that you've got to... Look at that, that was a Dark Souls 2 thing there. Enemies that you have to bait out, so it's like, oh, I'll bait them out. But then there's another rat hiding back here that aggroes to hit me if I do exactly that. So it's like, oh, I have to... That could be good, I guess. If that was in a late game Dark Souls 1 area, that'd be good, but I feel like having it here, it just feels like you're trying to kill the player. We'll fight the knight in a sec. This ended up going twice as long as I expected it to. Oh, I didn't think he was aggroed. Sidewalk. I kind of wish you blocking, you'd move a bit slower. Or something. Because it's like, oh, I can block and also just run around him, and then if he happens to whiff, I can... just backstab him. If he doesn't, I'll block it. It's like there's no risk. Really. I don't like affinities in this game. Like in Dark Souls 1, it's like, oh, pushing for an early divine or fire weapon feels really worth it. There are, like, you can have elemental weapons that don't scale with anything. So yeah, if they had that in this game, that wouldn't matter because, like, what else are you going to spend your runes on besides stats to improve your damage once you hit, like, 60 vigor and stuff? You're just going to keep putting points in endurance? Probably not. There's nothing else to put your runes into, so you might as well have scaling stuff. So the fire and lightning and affinities scale with stats. Like, it's kind of cool to play a low, in my head, low stat character to use your runes to be stronger in some other way, like upgrading the Pyromancy Flame or something. But you can't do that in this game, which is unfortunate. I can get a fire affinity or a lightning affinity right at the start of the game without having to do anything, compared to Dark Souls 1 where you have to go to the New Londo ruins to get a green Titanite and then run through... we'll do the Salons thing, I guess. Gotta do the northern half as well. Then you gotta do, like, pretty much all of Catacombs to get to the... I can't remember his name. The fire blacksmith. Which has... Actually, no, you don't. There's a green Titanite shard in the Catacombs. Sorry, I just... Oh, people are gonna be mad. Joss? Well, I'm recording a video. That's right. No editing. No editing, Andy. And then a fire weapon. Getting a fire weapon that early is really strong. It can carry you to, like... You can get through Sens. You can get to Anor Londo with probably like a level... Well, you can probably fully upgrade it if you go back. Because you'll get a bunch of green Titanite doing Blighttown. But getting a fire weapon really early is really strong. It feels a lot less strong in this game. Fire magic is still good, but... Like, I have a magic weapon early, but it doesn't really feel great, even though I'm fighting the kinds of enemies it should be good on, I think. But that's because it scales with int, and I'm not leveling int. Oh, okay, we'll do this. Gravestones. Ashes are cool. I wish you could switch them. I don't like. I think I don't like magic being tied to FP. I do like the idea of, well, I kind of like the idea of magic. It's like, oh, you have to sacrifice your healing to allow you to cast more spells to balance out the fact that casting spells is generally safer than melee combat, because you can just one-shot stuff from a distance. But that ideally you would have levels and fights designed that are like maybe harder for magic and users or something like that, or to force them. Like there are some fights in Dark Souls 1 where if you try to use magic it's too hard. You have to kind of go to using the weapon because the magic is too slow, or they have something that punishes it. There's only really... I still didn't compare to... The start of this game, you walk out, you fight the grafted scion, which you're supposed to lose to. Then you... like, you can kill it, but like you haven't learnt anything, so every new player is going to die to that. Then you wake up somewhere else, and then you walk out into the world. Like, you can drop down to learn how to play, but it's like so out of the way. I do understand it's like, oh, on repeat playthroughs, you don't want to do that, but you can just run through the tutorial area in Dark Souls 1 if you already know how to do everything. Let's go to Storm Shack. There's a lot of areas that are just built around, oh, we have a big brawl thing happening. Like there's just a bunch of enemies in a big area and then you fight them all. It's kind of hard to fight by yourself, so you're expected to just use Spirit Ashes, which I think is another thing that they've compromised on. Okay, yeah, so with the magic thing, it's like, oh, we don't have to design areas, we can just make it so you don't have to make it so you don't have as many heals. That'll be the thing that balances it, and then we can just balance the whole game around melee mostly, and then maybe have some enemies that are tanky to magic. Then it's like, which is actually the worst thing, because then if you are magic, it's like you don't have any other options outside of magic damage, really. You've got a few spells that do physical, thankfully, like the meteorite ones or whatever. But like your weapons are doing magic damage, and most of your good spells are going to be doing magic damage as well. And your weapons, it's like you can't have a non-scaling fire weapon. It's like, oh, it's like a thing that doesn't scale with my current stat, but it does good damage. Like that'd be an instance. But you can't do that because they scale with stats, so they do less damage than they otherwise would have. Also, the weird thing about there are weapons that scale with int, but then it always feels better to just use the weapon buff spell. Okay. On a normal weapon, you'll just do more damage if you do that. I'm going this way. Oh, I'll get the strength. Not. Why not? Why not? The, in Dark Souls 1, if you want more spells, you'd have to put a bunch of points into attunement and somehow get multiple of the same, like, multiple versions of the same spell, so you'd have to spend a lot of souls on buying the spell multiple times as well. And even then, it's only like, oh, you get freaking however many 8 soul arrow casts or whatever. Yeah. I can't remember the name of the spells. The big one. Like you only get, oh, if you want more of the small one, you gotta use up another slot. It's like, okay. And you only get so many per bonfire, so it's like you kind of want to use your weapon. But this, it's like you can make yourself have as many as you want, but then you won't have any healing. And I think I like the Dark Souls system more. You start off with 5 flasks, and then you can only get more if you kindle bonfires, which costs another resource. Humanity, which isn't in this game. There's no other extra resource. You have rune arcs, but they're only used to buff you. Not, they can't... thingy. You can't, you can't sell them for like a covenant or something. Like you can't use them for any other reward. I'm out of stamina, but it doesn't matter. See, I got hit and then I got freaking half my stamina back before anything even happened. Wow, getting hit gives you stamina when you're out. I didn't even realize that. They made the game too hard for the mechanics, so they had to like make you so much stronger with those mechanics to make up for it. While still having them instead of just being like, yeah, we don't know if we need this. Oops. Oh, I hate fighting the dogs. Wow, the knight didn't see me. I really liked how, with humanity, if you were killing enemies in an area that you hadn't killed the boss for, you would like build up a humanity, so it gave you an incentive to not die at all, like outside of just not losing your souls, like another resource. I don't know. But that's gone as well. Ashes of War, like they're cool. And they're fun. They allow you to do different things with weapons. Like, oh, now I have a rapier or whatever, but I can use impaling thrust to damage people that are blocking. Oh, okay, yeah, I don't like that they got rid of kicking. Jumping's good in that you get access to a way to do jumping attacks that makes way more sense, but plunging attacks do a lot less damage. Thingy. What was I just saying? Hey. But kicking gave you like an option. If an enemy's just standing there blocking, you can like, okay, I'll just kick him and then they'll get guard crushed. But you don't have access to kicking unless you have the Ash of War kick. So it's like if they're blocking, depending on your weapon, you just can't do anything. You just have to wait. It's like, okay, I'm just gonna sit here and wait until you attack so then I can do something. It's like, you can't be aggressive. There's no... way to do it. Like, if your weapon might just bounce off them and then you take damage, it's like, okay, I'll just sit here. Maybe you start charging a heavy attack, but then they stop blocking. It's like they block for just long enough that you have to sit there and wait. But also, when you realize, oh, they're blocking, maybe I can go for like a charged attack or something, then they might attack you very fast during that. Like, they have way quicker attacks than spears do in the spear guys in Undead Burg do. This game has a lot of repeated enemies, but I think it's okay because of the like, the game's a lot bigger. If it had too many different types of enemies, you'd have to learn too many different movesets. I don't know why he teleported here first. And then, secondly, that he didn't spawn any guys. Must be my lucky day. Ow. I have gravitas. Probably doesn't do anything. Except a bunch of magic damage. Oh, he's gonna do it. No. I didn't cancel it, he still got it off. In Dark Souls 1 you only have 2 ring slots, and it feels like, oh dude, I'm like struggling for rings. I try not to use Ring of Favor and Protection, but there's like a decent amount of good rings in that game. And there are different sections where you want to use different rings and it kind of matters, like maybe you want to use the rusted iron ring so that you can run through the swamp and not have to roll through it. Or maybe you want like poison resist for that area as well. That would be both your ring slots. Darkwood Grain Ring makes you roll faster. You've got armor rings, you've got magic buff rings. So like if you're a magic character, you're gonna have probably no defensive rings. Sacrificial rings that make you like keep your runes after you die, which is useful for the stupid better chaos fight, but there's a cheese for that that I need to learn, so I don't have to do that. But this game you have like Chloranthy rings, really good. There's probably other rings I'm forgetting. But in this game, you have more rings and more ring slots, but they don't feel super great. I wish they were more like normal physical damage offensive rings, but I don't know, I guess I don't know what else they could add. Yeah, I'll just go to Caelid so I can go to the Round Table Hall. Without having to fight Margit yet. What a ramble. This has been going on for over an hour. Pardon me. And since you have 4 ring slots, it's like you've got too many slots. It's like, man, I don't know what I want to do. I guess since I've got an extra slot, I'll just chuck this physical damage defense ring on. Like right now, the best ring, and you get this ring really early. This talisman, I should say. Whereas this is it's a lot harder to get in Dark Souls 1, but it's also a lot more important in that game. It's less important in this game, I guess. Whereas I merely pretended. What else is there? The Margit fight. Having you walk out and the dude's right in front of you. The tree sentinel. And it's like, oh, there's going to be a few of these just randomly roaming around, it feels like. He's just there for some reason. It's a weird boss to have there. And it's supposed to be like, I guess, like, oh, you don't have to fight this guy, you can go and do other things. Then the game, you go to the church, then you go to the ruins, which is a really tough kind of area for like a first real area that you're probably coming across. But then it's also like, oh, you can go explore anything. So there's the ruins, right? If you come down here, there's a chest that teleports you in this cave here in Caelid with really tough enemies. No, it's not that cave. No, it is that cave. Is it that cave? No, it's like it's the one over here. It's the even worse one. But it, like, if a new player accidentally does that, they're gonna probably just quit the game. Like, it's cool that you can do that if you're experienced player skip to that part of the game, but I think it's in a spot that's way too easy to accidentally find. I think the Divine Bridge down there is probably a better spot, but even then I think most players would end up there. Pointing the player to this lower area first is probably a lot better than pointing them towards this area, because it's like, okay, the ruins are probably too hard, you're probably going to skip past them. The troll's too hard, you're probably going to skip past it. This fight is kind of hard too, and then it points you to Margit, and then I guess it's trying to... Oh, the Margit fight's so good though. Right, Joss? I can't... It's not... You're killing my vibe, which is fine. It's okay. I'm just getting put off by you hearing me yammering. Yeah, I know, but I'm not clueless. I'm aware. You're right. What am I doing? Got to there. What was I going to do next, Joss? We'll do some of these Everjails. The Margit fight's so good, but it's in a spot that like encourages you not to fight it yet, Joss. It's like, oh, it has all these mechanics, but don't worry, you can go and get stronger first and then come back and fight him. Instead of learning the fight, just go and get stronger and beat him with stats. It's an RPG, right, guys? And I think setting that precedent for the rest of the game sucks. Especially when it's trying to be so much more about mechanics and silly stuff compared to the earlier games. I think the catacombs, the graveyard is more obviously like, oh, you shouldn't go to this area because the enemies reassemble and are quite a bit tougher compared to what you were just fighting. There's another area that has more of what you were just fighting, so I think it's more obvious to go like telling you the same message but in a better way. Why did I not parry that? Pointing you in the right way to... making you consider where you should be going at certain times. But it's like, not undirecting you from the way you should go. If you manage to beat Margit, then I think this Stormhill castle is like a... Okay, we'll heal now. Is a pretty tough area as well, if you beat Margit too early. Whoop, oh, we backdashes, so I can't charge attack in there. What is happening? Okay, I pressed attack, but it didn't happen. So I was confused. This is gonna be... My heavy doesn't stagger him. If you have like a longsword, there's so many more of these fights that become... Heal, brother! That become easier. I rolled too early. Duh and duh. Oh, okay, nice. I didn't even talk about Dark Souls 3 at all. I can't remember enough of it. It added the trend... Oh no, Dark Souls 2 did. Teleporting from the beginning, which I think, like, seriously negatively impacted the level design since then, because it's like, now there's no... In this game, you don't even need to be at the bonfire to teleport. You can just do it whenever. There's like almost no tension in an area unless you're in a cave. And then it feels like a nuisance because like, oh, I can't teleport, I have to return to the surface. There's like, you can be in the middle of this dungeon, this whole area, the castle, and then just teleport out, upgrade all your weapons and come straight back in. It's a lot less immersive. Like, I think the game loses out in not being able to, in you being able to leave an area. And the designers don't have to think about, like, they can just put, they kind of, I'm just thinking about this point. I want to say something about shortcuts and stuff. Like, Undead Burg only has the one bonfire. Thingy only has the one bonfire, the Painted World. They are, the levels are designed like so that you can run through them all around and stuff. They just kind of chuck more graces and stuff in this game. They have, it feels like at some point they realize, oh, we haven't had a grace for a while, we should put a stake here. Oh, the boss runs is another thing. Like, in this game they kind of gave up and like, okay, we'll just put we'll just put like a stake or the grace right in front of the boss, which is fine. I feel like the point of it was initially to the patience thing again, like, oh, if you need to relax after each time you fight the boss, and then otherwise, like, if you lose and you're cranky and just run in, then like the part before the boss might just kill you if you're not. So it's like, okay, you need to make sure that you reset before you go in, is the feeling I got from it anyway. But they didn't do a very good job of that with some of the runs. Like the Anor Londo one's a big one. Like the levels ideally would be more designed around punishing you if you tried to run through it. But that would be annoying for some people. But I think it's good. I think it's okay to be annoyed. It's okay to have negative experiences in games, I think, since I view them as more of like a art. They can be more artistic, so it's more of a like, if we want to express some emotion that's a real part of the human experience, we can do so through different gameplay scenarios. What did I not do? I was just thinking, oh, I didn't put stuff in my flask, okay. And I need to get this stupid ash off my weapon. I hope I don't have to split this up. Well, I guess I'll be learning some recording software, if that's the case. I don't really want to fight this troll. Oh, and the enemies don't have a lot of why are you backdashing? Recovery on their attacks sometimes, so you kind of are forced to take risks. Like, this is another area where it's like, oh, we kind of want you to fight this with your little NPC buddies. I should just kill him. Do I have the... No, I don't have the Turtle Talisman on. Should I? Oh no, I do have it on. Okay. Oh, okay, my bad. The item, the thing I have at the top is for my shield. Scarabs are worth... Crystal lizards are always worth killing because they give you later game upgrade materials that you might not have access to yet, but in this game it's like... Oh, yeah, that's right, I was gonna say I like... I don't know if I mentioned this properly before, but I like the embers in Dark Souls 1 because it kind of, again, it limits the rate at which you can upgrade your weapons and forces you to complete areas first. Like I said, you can get a pretty upgraded weapon without beating any bosses in this. I need to sell. You know what? I'm not going to sell anything. I'm going to kill this guy. Need to change my weapon and stuff. I think... I'm not going to hit a charged attack. Flasks. No. No, Ash of War. Ooh, bloody slash. Neither of these are keen. Standard's better, but bloody slash might be better than impaling thrust. You can, I don't know if you can parry this guy because he has a flail, but you can parry the other one, but I can't do it. These fights are annoying because they don't, you have to wait around. Moonlight Butterfly has a very specific, like, oh, I'm playing ranged and you can't hit me unless you're ranged as well, and then it's like, oh, I have a big recovery period where you can wail on me. So if your character is like, oh, I always forget how quick that hit is. If you have a character compared to this fight where all these fights where you have to wait, it's like the enemy runs away from you, not they're above you and you can't hit them. So it's like I could throw spells at him, but what if I didn't have spells? Having to wait like that doesn't feel as good for me, at least. Like having, oh, Elden Beast, he teleports to the end of the screen, you gotta run in again. There's a lot of big enemies, and I know it makes sense that they have big weapons, so they kind of, their advantage is like keeping you at bay, like because they want to use their weapons, not just their close range stompy attacks. But does he swing again? Yeah. The it happens kind of too frequently. Like you're having to close the gap too much, I think, sometimes. Like I can't punish that. If the AI was smart, he could just keep doing that move over and over and there wouldn't be much I could do. It's like, it feels like there are some attacks like that where the AI is going easy on you. In this game. Oh yeah, I was talking about the multi-AI thing before. Ornstein and Smo they're not programmed to fight differently depending on if they're both alive. Like there's 3, I feel like it might have been patched, but there were 3 Crystallian fights. There's multiple Crystallian fights in the game. They don't attack you at the same time though. Only one of them will attack you at a time and the other ones will just spin around in the background. But if you fight them not as a boss, then they all attack you at the same time. It's like, okay, maybe we have some silly boss thing. Like the Valiant Gargoyle fight should be like ridiculous. That should be almost impossible to do without summons. But they only attack you one at a time and they kind of switch in and out. So it's not really a duo boss fight like Ornstein and Smo, where you have to consider the positioning and both of them attacking and making them whiff and stuff. Those fights are tough, but they require a lot of patience. That's why that fight is so hard, because you have to really know when it's safe to attack, and you get punished hard if you attack at an improper time. Really, the culmination of the game, I guess, in terms of those mechanics. Probably my favorite fight, but I actually like a lot of the easier fights as well, for like Asylum Demon, Taurus Demon, like big telegraph swings with great recovery. I think the bigger problem, I'm so all over the place. The bigger problem with this game, like with reusing stuff, is how there are major bosses reused. Like Godric shows up again. The Red Wolf shows up a few times. Like its name is the Red Wolf of Radagon or something, and so it seems like a super important thing, but then it just you fight it like 4 more times after that. It's like, okay, cool. So these aren't anything important, they're just around. There's another enemy. There's way better examples. I don't know why I said that one. There's the Mog is a really bad one. There's actually parts of this game that feel more unfinished. Like Dark Souls 1 feels rushed in that like Crystal Caves just kind of suddenly ends. That's probably and like Izalith just is a big open area with a bunch of enemies just. But then this game kind of feels unfinished in some areas, like lore-wise. You fight the real. First of all, there's a fake Mog guarding the Three Fingers for some reason. I really don't like the fake Margit thing. Like, and then you fight the real Margit, and it's Morgott, and he has a fake name the first time for some reason, and it's supposed to be an illusion. People say he doesn't die like an illusion. I don't think. Maybe I'll see. He doesn't. Why does God? Why does it? It could be so much more obvious. Like Godfrey. You fight the fake Godfrey, and he's like a golden shimmery thing. Why couldn't he have just been a golden shimmery thing? Why does he have to be normal? You fight the real Mog, and then his Mikola is behind him, and then you just don't do anything with it. It feels really like, isn't this a super important lore character? Like, we're just gonna leave Mikola here and not do anything? It feels very strange. So there's the Mog and Morgott, Margit clone fights. You fight Godric again, and there's another one, I think, that it's like a repeated major boss. Like, the only repeated bosses are the Asylum Demon, which makes sense. The other versions have extra moves. Like, it makes sense in that it's a demon, and it's like really big. It's not like the Taurus Demon, it's a much bigger boss, so it can't be. Where am I going? Well, I guess we'll go this way. I didn't think I was going to play anywhere near this much, because I didn't think I was going to ramble this much, but here we go. A lot of people, why am I'm getting freaking mad frame rate issues here. The Godskin Joe is a pretty tough boss for people, but now that I've realized the thing where like, oh, they just one of them sits back and throws fireballs every now and then, it made the fight a lot easier, because they're like actually not like, for their health and stuff, they might not be the strongest versions of the Godskin fights. Like, I think what is it? Is it the snail fight that's in one of the tunnels, caves, might have a stronger version of the Apostle and the Noble than the one that's in the duo. I don't know, I have to check that. It feels that way, but maybe my character just got stronger. But that feels like a harder fight. Like, fighting, to me at least, just because of how strong they are when you fight them. I'm just trying to think. I feel like there's one more repeated boss that's pretty bad. There's so many dragon fights, and that's it. That is it. It's the dragons. You fight Lansayax or whatever, and Fortisax, which are both really important lore-related dragons that are like lightning and all this stuff. They have a different moveset. Then you get to Crumbling. Like, one of the Lansayax has the Lansayax glaive or whatever, the big sword lightning attack. I'm not gonna kill that. I'm just gonna run. That's named after her, I guess, because she made the move. But then you get to Crumbling Farum Azula or whatever, and then you fight exactly the same thing with no boss music or anything. It has the big slash attack and everything. It's like, okay, I guess that wasn't that important after all. It feels very cheap. They could have not even put that there. The area where you fight, it's like, you could have just put a normal dragon there. Not one of those dragons. If we want to do a silly thing. I love these guys' weapons, but I don't know if I've already done a playthrough with it. I don't know if I want to do another one. Just because I like to try and use different weapons. Which is easy to do in Dark Souls 1. For a game that's like open and you think would be all about like giving the player options and such, it's kind of weird how it how close early weapons are and what options you have. Like, you've got the Uchi, which is really good, I guess. I kind of wish there was a smaller katana, like an Iato, and a larger katana, like a huge one, like a curved greatsword kind of level. Not just the Nagi Kaba or whatever. I could have done more damage. You get the twin blade, the flail, you get a great sword. And then what else is around? There's a great lance, like a great spear here, which is the lance. Compared to Dark Souls 1, where you have the spear, a great sword, a mace, a talisman. Then you have the S-stock. Yeah, I forgot about that before, is below in New Londo Ruins. And you have the magic vendor there, so you can buy a catalyst and some magic spells, the basic ones. You have it's raining. I don't know if it's coming, if the mic's picking it up. Bloody pouring. What else is there? If you have the Master Key, the Astora straight sword and shield and stuff. You can get access to the Uchi pretty early in thingy. If you want a spear, there's like a few weapons you can get, but okay, yeah, that's the other things. You can't level up at the start of the game. You have to find Melina first, which I think is a bit weird because of where you find her. Like, you have to go rest at a bonfire, then you get her, and then it's like, okay, you'll probably get her pretty early, I guess. Then the Round Table Hold is like the hub world, which it's not obvious how you get access to it. Like, it's pretty arbitrary compared to just arriving in Firelink in the earlier games. You have to, and it's okay. So you have to teleport there and teleport out of there. Like, nothing connects to it. You can only access it through teleporting. There's an exact clone of that area that exists in the capital for some reason. I don't know the lore reason for it, but if it's not very clear, if it's no one talks about it or anything. And it has all these items that are like kind of adjacent to what is in the Round Table Hold, like the smith spot, the sanctified wet blades there, and the hammers there. Etc. What else? You can get a bunch of stuff from there. Oh yeah, the way you get to the hold is by Um, you have to either die to Margit or kill. So like you're expected to go here after running past these like 3 silly encounters. You gotta die to Margit and then rest at a grace, or kill Margit, rest at a grace, or you have to touch a grace that's outside of Leonia. So like this one, which I did before, or you have to go up through here and get to... No, this isn't Leonia, this is Limgrave, sorry, my bad. This is Leonia, up here. Ooh, they both have L's. Not obvious. The boss in this area sucks. The giant bears are painful. Because they run away from, like, they have moves that jump all over the place. They have moves that are really fast and hard to react to. They can, like, do a lot of damage depending on where you fight them. They always have 1 billion health. Highly mobile, huge fauna that have a ton of health is for some reason a theme in this game. My heavies don't stagger him even two-handing, which sucks. Rats are annoying because they have a long attack, a leap. See, this is it. Long. Wow, that hit me. Long range attack that starts from far away. So if you want to hit him, you have to run all the way in to get him. They have a really quick attack as well. So if you're fighting, there it is. If you're fighting multiple, you can get hit by the quick attack on the way in, or they can like just leap one after another at you, and it's like you can't really punish them. Then they have the giant ones that don't get staggered easily. If I had like a long sword, I could just heavy them and then they're easy. But I guess with the S stock, I'm supposed to shield poke, which is really weak. It's like in this game, it's one of the only things that are like use a decent amount of stamina. Because he has such a quick attack, you kind of need to like twitch react to it, which sucks because the other attacks are kind of a bit slower. Yeah, there it is. I was in the middle of attacking, so I couldn't do anything about it. Hey. Oh, I tried to roll, but I was in the middle of a dash, so I don't think I could. Oh, I should have died then. Okay, nice. Didn't know if he was gonna track me then. It's a bit easier to circle strafe in this game. I mean, compared to, like, okay, Dark Souls 1 is really easy, but it's harder in this game, but it's still doable, which I like. Like, I like that it's an option. What else was I gonna say? There was something else I was thinking about talking about. Round table hold. That's right. I don't like... You have to run to the smith in the first game to upgrade your weapon. So it's like you go out and you'll get a bunch of upgrade materials and then you'll come back, or souls, and then you'll buy upgrade materials. And then you'll like, oh, come return from your journey, you're gonna run all the way back there. So you kind of have to weigh up, is it worth running all the way back there now to upgrade, or should I keep pushing forward with my weaker weapon and get more stuff? But you can just teleport out for some reason. But you can get an item, you can buy an item from him, so you don't have to do that. But, like, you can upgrade your weapons, but you still have to go to him if you want to ascend it. So like to upgrade a weapon from a +5 to a magic weapon or fire weapon or whatever, you still have to go to a smith to do that. You can't do that, but you can get it to +5. Since Dark Souls, I don't know when they did it, but in Dark Souls 3, firstly they made it so you couldn't level up at bonfires, which is really bad. You had to teleport, that was in Dark Souls 2 as well, you had to teleport back to the hub area, talk to an NPC, then you can level up, then you can teleport back, and then you can keep playing. Completely time wasting, but you have to teleport to the smith to upgrade your weapon. So it's like they are kind of forcing you to go to the round table hold every now and then just by that. There's like no other good reason to go there besides shop related stuff, I guess. I think those are only... I'll just do them anyway. Ambush. This game has crafting, which I think is kind of cool. It means that we can have lots more stuff around the world that we can just pick up. But mainly, like, without having... Like, it gives the developers way more items to put in the game that add up to being other items, but for some reason the balance on rare items is so bad. It's like you can get a bunch of stuff that you can only farm way later in the game. So it's like, oh, you get access to 25 or like let's say 15 ice pots in your playthrough until you get to late game. Then after that, if you use them all up, you have to go farm them in this late game area. It's like, what the heck? Come on. I just want to use the pots. Are they that good? And then there's other pots which are way easier to get that you don't have. Like, there are good ones that you can do that you don't have to farm for. There are ones that you'll have to farm for that are good. There are ones that are bad you have to farm for. Ones that are bad that you have to wait till late game to farm for, etc. Like, it's all over the place. It doesn't make any sense. And the throwables are kind of less good than I would be hoping them to be. Like, there's only a few of the pots that are good. The fire pot's good for cheap fire damage if you don't have access to it. The holy water pot's good for killing the skellies so they don't regen. The thingy pot, the sleep pot is good for fighting certain enemies like trolls and other enemies weak to sleep. And then that's the ice pot and the scarlet rot ritual pots are the only good ritual pots really, because the other ones, the better fire one, the better freaking magic one, they all use old fangs, which sucks. Since it means you won't be able to farm them until late game. Well, unless you want to spend ages doing it on an enemy that's not got a good drop rate. I should use that stuff. It's better than this one. Since I'm going to be low int. The way magic casting works has always been kind of weirdly balanced and not well explained to, like, you have to wiki it to figure out how it works. There's like different weapons that you use for casting spells or whatever in whichever game. There's like an optimal one for each set of levels. So like this might be the best staff until I hit 30 int, then there'll be a better staff for 30 to 50 int, and there might be a better one for 50 int plus. It's just, but like the game doesn't tell you that. It's not until you like actually have both the staffs, and you can upgrade them in this game as well, so you have to up them all upgraded to the same level and then physically compare them and be like, oh, this one's better than the other ones now. I was gonna go to this place, but I got distracted. Oh, went the wrong way. What else is there? The main point of these videos is just that I can air out my thoughts on certain subjects, and also to practice making content in some way. So That's why it's so... I didn't have a script, so I keep forgetting what I was saying and going off topic. But that's why it's gone so long and it's so rambly. I just want to have a way of like having my thoughts, positions out, and then I can also kind of listen back to this and reflect on if I still feel that way, etc. Ow. I really like the Duke's Archives in Dark Souls 1. There are some areas that I really like. That people hate. Bladtown's another one. I'm so like I liked New Londo Ruins, then I played it again and then I didn't like it, but I played it again recently and I think I do like it again. It's like goes back and forth. The first half of it I like. How do I feel about the second half? It's kind of a small area, so it's not a big deal. I really like... See, that's like another... There's like reasons to go do... That's another reason to go do different things in Dark Souls 1. It's like... You can go fight Sif and get the ring that lets you go to the Abyss. Oh yeah, there's the lava ring. That's the other ring that's like, oh, you use it to access an area, but it takes up a slot. The ring that lets you access the Abyss, but it... And then you can kill Ingrid before getting the Lord Vessel to get the key that opens New Londo. So you can fight the four kings before, if you have the Master Key, before you fought the Bell Gargoyles or Quailag, which is how you talk to Karth? Yeah, that's his name, I think. Because Frampt is the normal one. Frampt. Whatever. The Serpent, and he tells you different lore and stuff. Like the other ending, there's only 2 endings in Dark Souls, but that one really makes you think, doesn't it? This game kind of has a bit of a theme about like reincarnation, not reincarnation, but like things coming to an end and new beginnings. Fate is a big one. It has some cool narrative ideas, but it's not really... They're just... I don't think... like, it's not super expressed in the gameplay. Outside of, like, Tarnished can't see... There are Tarnished that can't see the guidance anymore. Which is Rogier and... the prawn guy. I can't remember his name. They specifically say they can't see it anymore, so it's like their destiny is to end up in the spot where you talk to them because you are the Tarnished that ends up becoming Elden Lord. Like, Rogier's purpose is to show you the thing under Stormhill, whatever the castle's called, Stormvale, and like Thingy's purpose is to end up providing a curse mark. Like the guidances of grace point you towards different the different kinds of mending runes you can get to, I suppose. And they have different philosophies about... They represent different philosophies about how the world ought to progress. Like the Three Fingers, the Frenzied Flame is like... destroy everything and wipe it out, since then if everyone's dead or whatever there can't be any suffering. The normal endings just keep stuff how it is. I don't actually understand the Golden Order one properly. There's like weird stuff, like they say Vike is the closest to becoming an Elden Lord, but is there like other... And like the finger readers, like, oh, I've never seen Thingamabob, I've never seen 2 great runes together or something, but it's like, does that mean there are other dudes that had great runes from the Shattering or whatever that you don't know about? Like, have there ever been other Tarnished that have got great runes? Where have they gotten them from? Did Vike have great runes? It said he got the closest, but Morgott is still around. Why is he ever... How did he... I guess he could have gotten to... whatever it's called. I guess it's implied he goes to the sewer. Did I get... Yeah, I did do the grace up here. He ends up in the sewer at some point, because that's where the Three Fingers is. Like, so he would have been in the capital, I guess. I don't think you can get to the sewer from anywhere else. Ooh, 3 Arteria leaves. Should I do the mine? We'll teleport out first. Oh! See if I can upgrade. Oh, I should have gone to Selen because she has spells. Actually, I might do that. I don't have much money, but that's okay. Upgrade my S stock. Upgrade this a couple times. Let's go. Let's go! It's probably going to be quicker to go this way. Oh, no, it's not. It's quicker to go from the south. Oh, you get the Great Axe as well. Pretty early here, going back to that. I'm definitely gonna try and write a script up next time I do one of these videos, so I'm way more on topic. What was I talking about? Spells. I was talking about the lore. Come on. I couldn't get through the gap. There's a lot of weird consumable items as well, but I guess it's fine. Like, we have the crafting system, we have ways to make lots of silly items, so we can put lots of silly items in the game. I was talking about Vike. Yeah, okay, I don't think I have anything else to say about that. Hey, that was pretty good. Can't hit him while he's down. Even though he has a flail, this one does a punch attack that you can parry. I don't think you can parry the Hamel guys. I've tried. It's possible I do just suck. Oh, finally I can get some normal spells. I want to learn sorcery. Not in thought. Glintstone Stars is so good, but I can't use it yet. Scholar's Armament will be good as well. Okay, I have to attune those spells or whatever. But I'll do the cave. What else am I thinking? I think, is that it? Do I have anything else to say about Dark Souls vs Elden Ring? Dark Souls is really good, but it is not... I don't think it's perfect or anything. Like, it has some pretty weak areas in it, which sucks. I was kind of hoping, like... Well, I don't know. Sekiro has really good gameplay, and I thought this was gonna... Hoping, oh man, post-Sekiro, open world Dark Souls game could be really good, but it's okay. I like how much there is to do in this game. That's like a big, just silly thing I have about it. I like the big checklist kind of aspect of it. Like, oh, I gotta do this, and then I can go do this, and then I can go do this. Oh yeah, I was mentioning before that there's lots. You have lots of reasons to go everywhere. Get the freaking thingy sword from Karth after you kill the four kings. You can just do stuff in that order as well if you want. I guess the equivalent is like going to fight Rykard or something first, or Radahn is probably harder, honestly. Since you have you get a meme weapon to fight Rykard. There's a reason to kill Radahn as well, because he opens up the Nokron area. Which I guess if you're using Spirit Ashes is good because you get access to the Mimic tier and the Soldier Shield Ashes. The Redmane Castle itself sucks. I think the Radahn Festival is kind of weirdly done as well. I didn't attune my spells. Boink. Boink. I'll put that on for now. I need... What? Is this gonna kill this guy in one hit? Oh, it does. Very good. And he dropped a smithing stone. What shield should I use, I wonder? Some of these enemies, after you hit them a couple times, do like a armor move, which is the headbutt that these guys have. Which I think is interesting. Some of them are a lot more obvious about it. Like he's just mashing. And then he screams. Like the what are they called? The Omen guys have a few high poise attacks that they like to do. After you hit them with a heavy that staggers, and then you can like parry those or dodge them and punish them again. But if you're not quick, they can like do high poise attack into high poise attack, so if you don't punish the whiff, you can get punished by that. Oh, just another, like, oh, a way that you interact with the enemies that I like. It's like, oh, you hit them, which means they're gonna react in this way, which means that you can abuse that and hit them again or something. I need the Conceptus scroll. It's so far away, I don't really want to go and get it. Because you have to run past so much stuff and then it feels weird going back and doing it properly. So I like to try and do stuff properly. The only real reason... There's a reason to go through Caelid, which is to do Radahn. You get access to Dragon Barrow or whatever, which is technically a quite late game area. Because of the amount of souls everything gives you, and like you get the level 8 and 9 somber smithing stones there and stuff like that. Is this a ranged one? I thought there was another ranged one. Pickaxe. So, It's kind of like if you could... Oh, but it's not even like that. It's like if Valley of Drakes let you go to... Did I miss another hallway? I don't think so. What's a really... Like, I keep thinking about Tomb of the Giants. If Valley of Drakes let you go to the second... I did miss this area. The second half of New Londo, right from the start. Like if that gate was just open. And you could easily get there, I guess. But there's, I don't know, I'd have to think about that comparison a bit more. But like, it's weird that you can get there because there's like a few things that are really easy to do that net you a lot of souls and stuff. Like you can kill the dragon, that gives you a ton. You can get Radagon's Scar Seal. No, Saw Seal. Which is like way earlier compared to when you can get even Marika's Scar Seal, let alone way too early. Freaking... What? I don't even know if I punished that. Like if I even parried or I just got hit. Halig Trees, the brace of it is when you can get thingy, Marika's, way later. Like you can get access to stuff that's really early in Dragon Barrow. It's just a bit interesting. It's kind of cool in like the, oh look at the openness, Dark Souls 1 memes, but then it's like, oh, you don't have to interact with anything. There's like no gameplay. It's just a big open area. It's more like another graveyard or something. I want more graveyards. I want more. Oh, you go to fight through this area for a reason. There's a reason to go to do XYZ. Oh, I can go back to Salon. Oh no, I should get a bit more first. Am I done? Anything else I want to say about Dark Souls 1 versus Elden Ring? I can keep talking about this game, so in other videos, so that doesn't matter. I should just think about Dark Souls 1. But man, talked about patience and the gameplay, level design a little bit. I didn't go into too many specifics. Like if I was playing Dark Souls 1, we could go through specific examples. I guess I could elaborate on that more later on. NPCs, like decisions with NPCs matters a lot more. Like something else I could talk about with it. Dark Souls 1. It feels like the characters are in the world and respond, like they all have their own agendas, like they just come and go randomly if you don't know the triggers. Like it's just regardless of what you do, but in this game they just kind of stand around until you talk to them and then they give you a yes or no option, and if you pick the no they'll just stand there until you pick yes. It's like there's no you can't make a bad choice. Like if you pick the wrong option for the cat covenant, it just locks you out of it. Oh, I got this bug again where I get the zoomed out horse camera in this exact spot as well. It's St. Trina's Lily. It's actually good. I wish the camera was like that during boss fights. There's a lot of huge bosses that you can't see what's going on. Not Fire Giant, by the way. Fire Giant actually is a good example of that, of doing that. Like I think you can pretty easily tell what's going on with Fire Giant's attacks. And he doesn't have a huge amount of them, using sound cues and whatnot. These guys have high poise for some reason. Like, the Dragonkin soldiers suck to fight. A lot of the dragons suck to fight. Dragons are especially bad because they're huge, they fly away from you, so you have to approach again. They have kind of annoying hurt boxes because you can only hurt the legs. What is this? I don't want to die to full damage. Oh, he did. I don't know if I knew about that. Every time I play a new character, I find a new thing. Like last run, I found the Arrow Reach Talisman. I hadn't been there before. But now, Divine Fortification, eh? Interesting. I like how fire magic, like the progression of spells feels good in this game. Lightning doesn't feel like that though. It feels like you have a couple of good spells to start with and then all the lightning spells just become great big soy AoE dragon spells. It's nice to have a bit of variety. Like, oh, this is a fast close range thing. This is a quick ranged one. This is like a slower, stronger one. But if it's everything you have is just huge explosions, it's like, which one of these does the highest damage? I guess I'll pick that one, and then I have my other two spells, which are the first lightning ones or whatever. Different purposes. Yeah, let's do this. What else is there to talk about? There are some pretty bad things that happen in Dark Souls 1 to the player as well. I guess it's supposed to make the world seem more cutthroat and ruthless. Which is good, I think. Again, I like it. Like when you lose thingy. I don't want to go to the Divine Tower. Okay, I gotta remember to come back here, and I gotta remember to go back here. Let's go to the graves. Like freaking Thingy-mabob kills Lautrec, kills the Firekeeper at the thingy if you don't kill him, which is pretty rough. Patches. There's probably some other stuff that I can't think of. But yeah. I'm starting to think I'm running out of Dark Souls 1 stuff to talk about. Yeah. I suppose I'll end it there. Put that back. And I'll go do Castle Morn. Next video. 2-hour Andy video. Okay. Oh. I'll think. There's a lot of other things that I wanted to talk about. It's alright, I got a list. Next time I
get the confidence to do it, I'll do it. So